Hello everyone, I'm Sam and I'm joined by Christopher.
Hello.
Hello, and we are from LCAProductions and welcome to another episode of Lovely Cooking.
Hey.
Woo! Yes, so we are back in the LCAProductions kitchen and today we are making a low carbohydrate pizza. Yes,
Very nice.
something I've made many times, so hopefully it works flawlessly, but you never know. We do need the scales. Which I forgot. Quite an important piece of kitchen equipment.
I imagine they would be.
So the first thing we're going to do is measure out 170 grams of grated cheddar cheese. You can use mature cheddar, mild cheddar. It doesn't matter for this recipe. Whichever you want, depends on how cheesy you want to taste it. So 170 of that.
170 grams. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay.
Oh, I won't quite over. That's okay. Let's take it out.
Oh,
Put a bit back in.
There we go. There.
171. That'll do. Okay. Next, we need to add. Let's make that 0. Yes. Ground almonds. Quite a useful thing for people who are doing low carbohydrates because they're just protein and they replace flour quite well sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Yeah, this is ground almonds. We need 100 grams. This packet's ripped very badly.
It is, isn't it?
100 grams of that.
Okay, keep going.
Actually, that's it's just 80, not 100. Sorry.
Just 80. Yeah, we'll still keep going. Keep going. Nearly there. Nearly there. Nearly there. Nearly there. Cool.
Okay. That should work. If you don't want it to spread out as much, put a bit more in. We might need to add more afterwards if it looks too wet. But you can use this recipe to make crackers as well. If you cook them a little bit more to make them a bit crispier, and put a few more ground almonds in so they don't spread out too much. Right, so next thing you need to do is melt this until the cheese is, well, not extremely melted and bubbly, but just enough that it's soft and slightly stringy and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
You can also use mozzarella in this, by the way. So let's come back once we've melted this in the microwave. Right, so that has come out of the microwave now. It is melted. It will look a bit like this. You might, if it's gone a bit too stringy, give it a second to melt down, cool down even, just a bit more. Not too much though. And next we're going to hit it with some seasonings. Yes.
Ooh, lovely.
Classic seasoning. So we're just going to do a little bit of ground black pepper first. There's no exact measurement. If you want it really peppery and salty, add more in. Obviously, depending on how salty your cheese is, will depend on how much salt you want to add. We're just going to do a sprinkle. Also depends on the toppings that you put on top as well.
Yeah.
If you put bacon on top of it, you don't want the base to be extremely salty as well.
Yeah.
We're going to do Italian herb seasoning. You could do chili powder, paprika, make it spicy if you wanted to, or you could just leave it plain if you want to. What that'll do. It might look like a lot, but actually, because the base goes so thin and so big, that's all the seasoning in there. Thank you. Because the base goes so large, you don't actually. It's not like really thick. It's actually quite a thin base. So the next thing we're going to do is an egg. Do you want to crack the egg in, Christopher?
Oh yes, please.
Go for it. You crack that in.
I am.
I'll get the bin open for you.
Okay. Do that again. And again.
Got this.
There we go. A bit more force needed, of course.
There we go. Lovely. That in the bin.
Which bit of the bin?
The green bit at the front.
Green bit at the front.
It is green. It's
the one that's covered in a black sack.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Wash your hands, and then we're going to attempt to mix this together. It can take a bit of mixing because the cheese is really stringy. It's quite awkward trying to mix an egg into something that's stringy. That's why if you use mozzarella, it might be a bit more difficult. But if you mix it vigorously enough, then it will eventually come together a bit more. It's getting there. Whilst we're doing that, now would be a good time to preheat our oven. You could preheat it earlier if you want. Doesn't really matter. You can carry on mixing this if you want, Christopher.
Okie dokie.
Pretty much impossible to overwork this, but try not to mix it for an entire 24 hours straight, because that probably wouldn't go very well.
Well, yeah, I'd imagine so.
Right, there we go. And the next thing we're going to do is, if it looks a bit sticky, how sticky does it look, Christopher?
Yeah, it's pretty sticky.
We can add a few more ground almonds then. You could add, if you don't want to make this low carb, which is kind of defeating the purpose, you could add some flour. That will instantly make it less sticky. But I've never done that, so I don't know what that would do. Give that a mix. And luckily we're rolling it out on greaseproof paper with cling film, so it's actually not too bad. Right, if you step to one side, Christopher, that's it. Next we're going to grab a baking tray of some type. We've got this big, nice stone that we used in one of the last episodes. That's really good. It hasn't got a lip as well, which is good, so you can just go right to close to the edges as well.
That is handy, yeah.
And we're going to cover it with baking paper. So take a strip of that. Thank you. You want it to go right up to the edges.
Yep.
And hang over just a little bit because we need some space to grab it later on. And it doesn't really matter if it's hanging over too much. And then we want to basically duplicate that.
Oh, okay.
This time give it an extra about an inch maybe. You'll see why later. So cut that. Okay, I'll put this one to one side, we'll need that later. And then what we want to do is get some pretty strong, easy to use cling film. Some people, I hate cling film sometimes, it's so hard to use, I feel. It's in the box. So get that's ready. And then we're going to tip this guy out onto the baking paper. Now if you do have to like walk away for something and this starts to cool down, you can quickly heat it up in the microwave again just for a couple seconds, but not too long obviously because it's got eggs in it now, so they will cook if you microwave them for a couple of minutes.
Yes.
You don't want to do that.
So this bit you need to be quick, really.
Yes. If you're making something like crackers and you can't fit them all onto one tray, don't put it in the fridge. Just leave it out and then quickly microwave it for a few seconds and it should be okay. I've never tested freezing it like this. I imagine it wouldn't work because then when you remelt it, it would cook the eggs. So it's probably best just to cook it and then if you want to freeze it, you can freeze it afterwards. So we're going to put some cling film over that and carefully cut it off without trying to scrunch it up too much. There we go, that went quite well I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my hands first, just to spread it out a little bit. Now, because our stone is square, we're going to make it square. A square pizza.
Square pizza.
And the good thing about a square pizza is you get really cool edge pieces that have more crust and pieces in the middle that have less crust. Right, that'll do.
Okay.
Then we want to roll it out
Now,
quite evenly.
this rolling pin, people, might look like glass, but it's actually plastic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Christopher discovered that earlier today.
Very important fact, you know. Plastic much better than glass actually because, well, it doesn't break as easily.
Yeah, don't say that to environmentalists. Christopher.
No.
They won't like you very much.
But, of course, glass being made from rock, really, is better for the environment.
Yes.
However, I don't think people intend to get a rolling pin to just throw away after a single use.
That's a good point.
So, a plastic rolling pin, in fact, isn't too bad, I would say.
It's reusable.
Yeah.
Refuse, reuse, but don't recycle. No,
Yeah.
but do recycle.
Do recycle.
That's the one.
If you ever need to get rid of your rolling pin,
Give
use
to a
it.
friend.
Give it to a friend, or use it to make something with it. Don't just throw it away.
That ought to do. I should think it doesn't have to be entirely even. Do it as even as you like. Doesn't have to be square. Could be a triangle. Could be round. Could be a hexagon. But good luck
Don't
making
make
a
it a
hexagon.
sphere.
No, you want it flat. About a pound coin, I would say. And if you're in America, good luck.
Let me see if I can.
Don't measure it. 'Cause
For
that might not be
reference.
right. We have a fork as well.
Okay, here's a £2 coin. They're about as thick as a £1 coin, aren't they?
Don't put it on the food.
I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna.
There you go.
It's about that thick.
Nice. We want to take a fork as well. We want to give this a prick just to stop it from bubbling up too much. It probably will still bubble up sometimes in between the spaces where you pricked it. It depends on many things, how much it bubbles up. Depends on the cheese, the oven temperature, then you've rolled it, etc, etc, etc. But that ought to do. If you want, you can make this stuffed crust as well. I've done that before. It is very fiddly though because this is really quite sticky.
Yeah, I imagine.
So it can get very fiddly. Right, so oven on somewhere between 180 and 200, doesn't matter too much. That's for a fan oven. I don't know what it is for a non-fan oven. probably about the same. So we're going to put this in there for about 10 minutes, and then we will come back and check it. And what you're looking for is quite golden and dry looking, drier, but not like big dark golden bubbles. You don't want too many of them.
Yes.
Okay. So let's get that in the oven, and we shall be back. Right, so whilst we're waiting, we're going to do a new segment that I like to call What Is That?
Okay.
Yes, so the way this works is there are 3 rounds. Christopher, you're going to be our contestant today, and I will present Christopher whilst he is blindfolded with a random food or ingredient. First, he will have to smell it. Then, he will have to feel it if he wants to, and then if he wants to, he will have to also taste it as well.
Okay.
And between each one, you have to try and guess what it is. And the earlier you guess, the better. You don't. The more points, I guess. It's not a competition, but sure.
Is there a leaderboard?
No.
Oh.
We need to find a blindfold, and then we'll begin. Okay, so this is what we went with. Christopher's going to promise not to open his eyes, okay?
My eyes are open, but I can just see hood.
We'll shut your eyes, though, because I'm going to be putting it underneath your nose. I don't want you to see in your
I'm
downwards peripheral vision.
I'm looking upwards into my hood.
Okay.
Okay.
I covered them with tin foil so you wouldn't see what they were beforehand or smell them.
Oh, okay.
You start with an easy one first. This one is, and I'll put the text on the screen. Cool. Okay. Smell it. You'll probably be able to get it straight away.
Ooh. Could I smell again?
Yeah. It's quite an easy one.
Yeah, it is. Oh. It's fruity.
Oh yeah, that is quite easy.
Yeah.
If you can remember what it is, if you can recognise it. It's on the tip of your tongue.
It is. Oh.
It is a fruit.
It is a fruit. It is citrus.
It is very citrusy.
It is very citrusy, yes. Is it a lime?
No, you're very close. Would you like to feel?
Well, if it's a citrus, I'm pretty sure what it'll feel like.
Go for it. Dip your finger in.
My finger in. Oh, it's juice. It's juice. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Should have got you a tissue.
Okay.
There you go, dry your fingers.
Thank you. Is it lemon juice?
Yes, it is lemon juice. Well done. Woo.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm going to tip that down the drain because I don't think we're going to reuse that now. It's my fingers in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go for round 2.
Round 2. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Is this one?
Close your eyes. It is this, by the way, people. Okay. Smell it first.
Ooh, tomato-y.
Yes.
Is it tomato puree?
Yes, it is. Well done. I'm glad you didn't have to put your fingers in that. 'Cause that would have been very, very messy indeed.
That would have been.
Okay, right. Let's get ready for the last round. Okay, I'm only going to put a few of these. I'll give it away. I shouldn't say.
Oh.
This is this one, by the way. Give it a sniff first. This is quite a difficult one, I think.
Ooh. Is it? Is it some sort of cereal?
No.
No.
Would you like to have a feel?
Okay. Okay. I'm assuming it's a nut.
Yes.
Is it a walnut? Or
No.
Oh, I'm not so good on nuts.
Do you like nuts?
They're all right.
Do you want to try a bit?
Okay.
I think you'll like them. They are nice.
I haven't really tried many nuts in the past.
I think these ones are nice though. They're homemade.
They're nice.
Yeah.
But I have no clue what they are.
Do you give up?
I give up.
Do you want to look and then try and guess?
I'm looking. Okay, I know it's a nut, but I have no idea what nut.
They're roasted salty buttery pecans.
Oh, pecans.
Yes.
I see.
Roasted them with some salt and some salted butter. And yeah. Okay.
Very nice.
That's the end of our little segment I like to call What Is That?
Well,
I think Christopher did quite well. 2 out of 3 there. And the tomato puree one you got instantly. So that was really good. So yes, let's now go back to waiting for our pizza base to cook, and we will see when that's ready. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, and what you should have is something that looks a bit like this. So some patches are darker golden, quite dry and more baked looking, I guess you could say. And what we're going to do next, I can't unfortunately put this on a bar stool because it might melt it, is we're going to grab, can you pass me that other piece of baking paper?
A piece of baking paper, away.
Thank you. And then carefully, trying not to touch the tray with your fingers, just grab the other 2 bits of baking paper from the one underneath, and then you want to quickly flip it over. And peel the old one off. Get rid of that.
Clever.
Yeah, so it looks like it's one of those things that looks easy and is hard, but it's actually fairly easy because it's not very slippy and slidey. If you do it quite quickly and try not to whip it too much, so then it should be fine. And we're going to prod it again with our fork just to stop this side from bubbling up too much. Doesn't matter too much if it bubbles up a bit. It shouldn't go crazily big because it hasn't got any raising agent in it apart from just egg. Okay.
This means when it comes out again, it's going to look like a mini cheddar, a big mini cheddar.
I guess so. Right, so that needs to then go back in the oven for, this time it will only take about 5 minutes, maybe less depending on how hot your oven is. Keep an eye on it. We don't want it to be extremely golden, especially not at the edges, because the bits that aren't going to get covered with the toppings are going to then crisp up a second time whilst we're waiting for the toppings to crisp up.
I see.
So we're going to put that back in and we're back in about 5 minutes. Okay, so our pizza is now done. It's out of the oven. We've given it a few seconds to cool because we don't want to add the sauce when it's too hot. I mean, we gave it quite a while to cool because we're doing other things, but you only need to give it maybe a minute or two just so it's not extremely hot. And we're going to use this little bit of tomato puree as well that we had for the game, just to use that up. So I'll just...
Lovely. Spread that out.
So obviously we're just making a normal cheese and tomato pizza with some nice toppings. So we give you tomato first, then a bit of cheese, and the toppings, then a little bit more cheese just to hold the toppings on.
Yeah.
That's the tactics I like to use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll get you to do the cheese if I do this.
I will wash my hands again.
Okay.
Because I have been away from the kitchen for a little.
Christopher is a more hygienic chef than I am, clearly. So, let's spread some. This is a tomato pizza topper. Tomato and herb. How delicious. It's up to you how thick you go with the sauce. If it is quite a wet sauce, be aware that if you leave the pizza in the fridge for a bit and have it in a few days later, that the base might go a little wet if the sauce is wet. It doesn't really matter.
Cheese.
Yes. So we've got the leftover grated cheese. It's not a lot, so you try and spread it out as best you can.
So I'll use grated cheese first, yes?
Yeah, do some grated cheese.
Okay.
We'll see how best that's spread out, and then we'll decide up. Jeez.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
covered myself
Oh
in
no.
tomato sauce. Do you think that's enough sauce for you, Christopher?
I reckon that's enough sauce.
Yeah. You don't want too much.
No.
Wow.
That was loud. My goodness. Right, so cheese.
Yes.
All over.
Try and spread it as evenly as you can, obviously, try not to get on crusts either.
Yes, of course, yeah. Makes sense. Just on the red bits.
Yes.
General rule of thumb.
So you don't have to use cheddar, obviously. You can use mozzarella, grated mozzarella. You can use Ritz mozzarella, mozzarella pearls, other cheese other than mozzarella. Red Leicester. Okay.
Red Leicester, for
Now-
example, yeah.
Oh, jeez, I've got tomato sauce on my hand. It's everywhere.
It is.
So,
Oh my gosh.
ideally, you'd have a bit more grated cheese to start off with. Unfortunately, we ran out. So we'll put a little bit of that on the base, just to cover up a few patches that are quite red.
So here we have some mature cheddar
Sliced.
sliced.
Yes. So it might be a bit difficult to unstick it because it's quite crumbly.
Yes.
So try and pop some of that on the gaps. Then we've got a salami selection that consists of some normal mild salami, some chorizo, and some sweet and garlicky chorizo as well. 2 types of chorizo and then 1 type of salami.
Very nice.
So there you go. You can put anything. You can put vegetables on this if you want. One thing that I have done before that is nice is mix caramelised onion chutney in with the tomato sauce. Gives it a really nice sweetness.
Yeah.
And that ought to do probably.
Okay.
Do you want to do the honours of doing the toppings?
Oh, shall we do it together?
Okay, so imagine it like, so how I normally cut it is I normally go through the middle like that, and then down like that, so you get 6 pieces.
Okay.
So I normally like to go and try and get one of everything on each piece, and it ends up looking quite symmetrical normally. Now, a common mistake people make with pizza sometimes is they don't go to quite close to the edges with all their toppings, and eventually it mounds up in the middle. I don't know if you've ever noticed that before.
Yeah.
So doing it this way also means that you go right up to the edges as well. It doesn't have to be extremely symmetrical, but
Well, that's one of everything so far, except for this last one.
this is looking good.
This is looking quite nice.
And then out of these 3, Christopher, what would you say? Do you want to? We can put a bit more on if we want. What you can do is you could rip them rather than just placing them. We can demonstrate that a bit on salami if you want. I'll rip this in half.
Yep.
And I'll poke a bit in the middle and a bit there.
Nice.
That ought to do. Okay. Gosh, there's tomato sauce on here as well. Where's it come from? Right. Then we're going to finish with a bit more cheese just to cover up any little gaps. Don't be afraid to put it on top of the stuff as well. Oh, I did it.
You did it. You got a whole slice.
Now you're breaking.
Oh, I'm
Make sure you go quite close to the edges.
No, I got half a slice.
As well. It can go there. Now, obviously, there is already cheese in the base, so if you're not much of a cheese person, you might not want to put as much on top.
Oh no, Sam.
I think we've got enough.
The sauce has spread to the cheese.
That's fine. Put a bit on any other tomato sauce that you see, and there's a good gap there as well. Yeah, this will help hold the toppings on. Don't know if you've ever eaten a pizza before and bit into it, and as you pull away, all the toppings are slid off
Into your mouth.
Yeah, it's quite annoying when that happens. You
It
still
is,
got a
'cause
slightly
then-
wet base, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's what this helps with. It helps to hold. And if you do go to a pizza place that serves nice, proper pizzas, you'll notice that they have cheese on top of the toppings as well as underneath. Right. So we're going to put that back into the oven. It's probably only going to need about 3 to 5 minutes, maybe a bit longer, depending on how many toppings you've got. And you want the cheese to be somewhere between decently melted and golden, depending on your liking, and depending on what toppings you've got as well. It depends how well you want them cooked. So let's put that in the oven, and we'll be back.
Hello guys, look at this pizza I just made.
I'll use down this side, I'll display it and then we'll cut it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we gave it probably about 7 minutes, maybe a bit more in the end. As you can see, that it hasn't gone extremely brown and crispy. Could have given it more if you wanted to. I don't know how well this cheese is going to go though, so we'll just take it out now. So yeah, give it as long as it needs. The chorizo's gone quite crispy because chorizo does do that. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this way, as I said.
Oh, look at that cutting right through there, lovely.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit difficult for these things to cut, but
Yeah, but
that's works well that one.
yeah.
Right, and then we're going to go probably about there and there.
Cool.
So this is where actually laying out the chorizo and stuff
Helps.
to see where you need to cut it.
And also when we lay the cheese in the cracks, it just gives us a grid.
Yeah, exactly. There we go, boom. So you want to grab a cooling rack, and let me move this guy along without touching the hot tray.
Oh, I'm going to grab that bit of cheese before we do this.
Oh, where did it come from?
I don't know, but I'm eating it now.
This does not want to move. It's definitely non-slip, this tray. There we go. Okay. Wiggle. There. So, grab a spatula or two, and I'm just going to move these slices. They might feel really soft at the moment, but as they cool down on this rack, because they've got air, and as the air gets to them and they cool off a bit, they will crisp up a bit more and firm up. So you can eat it fresh, hot like this if you want. I'd say give it a few minutes because it will be quite hot.
Yes.
And also to let the base firm up a bit so that you can easily pick it up without it
After all,
soggying.
one of the main ingredients of the base is cheese.
Exactly. You can also, once these are cooled down fully, you can put them in the fridge, eat them cold for the next few days if you want. They'll last for quite a while. It depends on the ingredients you use, obviously. But as it's just mainly protein, it does last for quite a while. And you can also freeze it as well. Once they're fully cooled, stack them up, wrap them in some tin foil, stick them in the freezer. I don't know how long they would last in there. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks max, depending on the ingredients you put onto the top and cheese and stuff. So yeah, so we'll wait for them to cool down for just a little bit, and then we shall test some. And we will review the low-carb pizza. Okay, so I think we are ready to test. We've picked a slice out, I'll just move that over there and cut that down the mid. Do you want it more crust, or do you want me to cut it like that?
That might be better, because then we're both
then
getting
you
the same.
You
amount
don't
of
just get
crust.
like a ton of crust in. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh, it does not like the it does not like the chorizo.
it
The
is.
knife
It
is
is
not
quite.
happy.
This will be my slice. I'll just hold on to my slice.
Just hold on to it, come on.
It's still a little hot.
Yeah, that's good though, right?
Yeah, you can eat it hot or you can eat it cold. Boom. That.
Boom. There we go.
Kind
My
of works.
slice of pizza.
Then go for it. It's not
Go
too
for it. Oh, I'm going to try crust first, see what that's like.
hot.
That's really nice. You can really taste the cheese in it.
Well, yeah, it's quite a cheesy pizza because it's made with cheese in the base.
Yeah.
And obviously you can change the toppings as well. Put more on, put less on. Still had a bit of an issue with the topping sliding off.
Yeah.
Because chorizo and salami is quite hard to bite through. It normally slips and slides and doesn't rip very well. Well, thank you everyone for watching this episode of Lovely Cooking, and thank you Christopher for joining me.
Very welcome, Sam.
And the next episode I do believe will be a Christmassy episode. I don't know who we'll have for that, but you'll have to go and watch that once it's out. And the recipe for this can be found in the link in the description on our website. And just go there and follow the recipe to make this yourself if you want. Change it up and experiment and see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!